Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hold Up, the show where we dive deep inside your childhood nostalgia, pull the movies from your past out to see if they hold up. I'm Chase, and I'm holed up with two lovely aliens, Andrew in Louisville, Kentucky, and Kyle in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Yeah. I guess we are all aliens if you think of things from a very broad and kind of depressing mindset. Sure, we're all aliens. I guess, Chase.
What
Yeah,
about that
thanks.
is depressing? I'm confused already. What about that is depressing?
Vast, empty universe. We are just floating specks.
We
That
don't
is
know that it's empty.
depressing. I don't.
We don't know that it's empty.
I don't. That's not my worldview. I really don't feel that way. I really don't.
I was going to say, you were just telling us how happy you were that Michigan won the national championship.
That's not necessarily a happy thing. It's just a lesser of two evils in that situation. So, yeah, not really happy.
It does run into our theme today because we watched Space Jam, didn't we?
Everybody get up. It's time to slam now. Finish it, Kyle.
They get up and we slam down.
We got a real jam going down. Welcome to the Space Jam. Come on, man.
Welcome to my Space Jam, Daddy. Oh, yes. Daddy. Welcome to my Space Jam, Daddy.
That's it.
That's the name of the song. That's how the song goes.
That is.
It's about that good. It's a terrible song. In fact, it's hateful. Let's say.
I don't hate that song, but
it wasn't hateful when we were 7 and 8. That was.
And we were at Chuck E. Cheese, and it was playing in the background. Those were good times.
Yeah,
I don't know if I would agree with any of that. I think I don't. Never mind. I don't want to give away the goat right now. But.
Yeah. Before we do that, I mean, we're obviously running through our animation spectacular that we've never named, so that's what it is.
Well, there it is, right there.
The animation spectacular, presented by Hold Up,
in conjunction with Kirkland Signature and
Kirkland Signature Products. And TaylorMade. Kirkland Signature Products are the reason why we are able to do this show week in and week out. And I think it's not lost on anybody how much of a patriotic company and a duty they do for the American people by offering their quality products at a much lower rate versus competitors. And also the fact that they're made in the USA. Without Kirkland Signature and their sponsorship with us, that they have very much condoned and offered to be a part of. And by the way, all the views that we are expressing and espousing on this podcast are also the views of Kirkland Signature Products. So we want to thank them very much for taking a bold stand and for not raising the price of their hot dogs. Thank you very much, Kirkland Signature.
Yeah, absolutely. And their wine's great,
I'm applauding that. Yeah, it is. Kyle, you deserve a standing ovation for that. You just rallied the troops.
Yeah.
In support of Kirkland. Yeah, you did, man. I mean, I couldn't have said it better. How emotionally moving. Thank you.
I'm waiting for Kirkland to rally a check to our address. But anyway.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
They are listening to us in Kirkland, Washington. Where else are they listening to us, Kyle?
What's the capital of Morocco, Andrew?
Isn't it Knoxville?
Des Moines, Iowa.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah. We've had some listens from Marrakesh, Morocco. What's the capital of Georgia? The country, Andrew?
You tell me, buddy. You tell me.
Tbilisi, Georgia.
There we go. Mm-hmm.
We've had some interesting views over there. Long live the people of Georgia. Tbilisi is a beautiful city I wish to visit one day. So thank you for your listen there. We also, thank you. I just want to put it all out there so we're all on the same page. I also very much like to give a little bit of a shout out to the number of listens we've gotten in the last 5 days, a surprising amount from Germany as well. So we're going to have to do a tour of Germany in the near future. If Andrew is still allowed to go to Germany.
He's not. He won't be for another 45 years. So that's just going to be me and Kyle. So our German brethren will be out there to see.
I want you to fill me in as to why I can't go to Germany.
We can't discuss it on this podcast. The FBI.
This is news to me.
The FBI has already told me we can't do it, Andrew. We can't go down that road because me and Kyle could also be indicted with you, and we're not doing that.
Yeah, we could be implicated, and we're not.
Yeah, this is definitely real and not fabricated whatsoever. Good to know.
Thank you for agreeing.
Yeah.
Anyway, when we do that tour, Andrew will be in Liechtenstein, and we'll be, here. So Japan, thank you for your listens from our listeners in Japan, the Netherlands, Mexico, Austria, another place Andrew cannot go, the Russian Federation, and Finland. So we've got some pretty healthy listens from around the world. We appreciate everybody tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all. We appreciate it. Please, if you like this show, send it to someone that you know. Send it to someone you love. Send it to someone you hate if you hate the show. That's how we can
send
keep
it to Andrew.
Send it to Andrew. Just copy and paste it. Send it to Andrew. Please, that helps us keep our show free. We want this show to be free, entertaining, and available for all. So we thank you all for listening. And before we move on to Space Jam, our next animated movie, Kyle, I got to know, can you describe your energy using basketball terms?
Well, I know a lot about basketball.
He knows everything.
I'm a prolific basketballer, one would say.
ESPN actually approached him to be an in-studio analyst with Charles Barkley and Shaq and the gang, and he turned it down for good reasons, but it was almost a done deal. So
it was almost a done deal, but it was because of my hot takes on forward press that was happening recently, and just the fact that I think that every team could do without two players to make it more of a shifted position on the court. When we're attacking and less defending. Nobody really wants to see defense. We just want to see offense. So this, I would say, my feelings today, energy, man-to-man coverage. I feel your nuts on my leg. That's how close coverage we're getting. And we're just down. We're in the whole 20 points, and there's about 3 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. So we've got some work left to do. We're probably not going to get there. And there was a bomb threat just called in, too. That's where we are today.
Yeah, Chase, I'm a big fan of full man coverage on the court.
I bet you are.
It's a great technique. Great technique. I know that Kyle's very much against that, but I think he's wrong.
I mean, I know a lot about basketball, so I would just say to do it
full man
defenders.
coverage. Full man coverage.
Yeah. Full court press.
There you go.
All that stuff.
That's real. Yeah. Full court press. Yeah, that's very real.
Yeah. It's a layup.
Some teams' defensive strategies. I don't know. It sounds like it. We talk about Space Jam today. This was a very popular movie, especially for all the kids out there that were into athletics, sports. This was like a must-watch for those kids. Andrew, we're going to start with you because you're from the great state of Kentucky. I want you to tell me a little bit about this movie's influence on you because I know it's probably big. And I want you to tell me about, like, living in Kentucky, which is, like, the heart of basketball country. Take it away.
Basketball, it sounds cliche when I say it's a big part of everyone's life, but, like, it's true. Like, we all grew up watching games during class. Teachers would wheel in the old TV on the, I don't know, metal, I don't even know what you call that thing, the four-legged metal two-level compartment with a strap over the top.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we watched so many games, especially in the spring during class. So Kentucky played at like noon on like a Thursday during March. Mrs. Bonneau was going to have it on, and we wouldn't even be really having class. We'd be watching the game.
Who is this?
My teacher. That's my 8th grade teacher. I just, casually threw that out there.
Is she still around? Is she still with us? Shout out to her.
I think she is. Yeah.
Do you think she's listening?
She's retired.
You think she's listening?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. Every episode?
Yeah. She's probably one of our biggest fans. She loves to support her students. But yeah, basketball is it's a big part of the culture in Kentucky. Kentucky's not a big state. There's not much to it, if we're being honest. So we cling to things that make us look good and are near and dear to our hearts. And basketball is that. Not right now, unfortunately, but anything to do with basketball, we pretty much eat up and enjoy. This movie was no exception. Probably watched it, I don't know, a number of times when I was a kid. Not as many as you would think, but I can't tell you how many birthday parties or like sleepovers we went to, and I was like, oh, we're going to watch Space Jam. Oh, yeah, we're going to watch Space Jam. Oh, hey, we're going to watch Space Jam. It's going to be a good time. Like, it was just something that was on rotation. Any time frame between the age of like 7 and 12, you watched it that many times on any given year. I don't think it had like a huge influence on me, but it was a huge part of society at that time. And for those that love basketball, it was an easy watch. It was a no-brainer. So
yeah. And Kyle, what about you? I don't know if you grew up with sports or not. I know you're a big baseball guy, but what was Space Jam to you when you were a kid?
It was annoying. It was just one of those things that you don't know who that is. You don't know who that player is. Like you don't know. I'm like I didn't grow up in a basketball household, like an NBA household. Like we did like basketball. Like we would watch crosstown shootout in Cincinnati. We were big UC Bearcats fans. I remember Kenyon Martin was like my favorite player for like 2 years until he broke his fucking broke his tibia.
I thought he tore his ACL and like MCL and everything.
I'm pretty sure he broke a bone. It was something crazy.
Kenyon Martin is a name I haven't heard in a long, long time.
He played for the Nuggets, didn't he, Andrew?
I don't remember. He was a kind of a traveler.
I thought he was a
he did play for the Nuggets. He played for all of those teams.
So he did
drafted by the Nets, went to the Nuggets, played for the Zhongzheng Flying Tigers, Clippers, Knicks, and Bucks.
Legacy team right there, legacy team.
Yeah, he was a journeyman, but he played for 15 years.
Because I remember he played with Jason Kidd on that Nets team, right?
Yeah, he definitely did.
Because that would have been like 01, 02, that era.
But I definitely remember that. But I remember Space Jam coming out, and it just being everybody, like Andrew said, it was just on all the time. And I love the Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes are great. Love it. I understood Michael Jordan was like a superstar and like a one-of-a-kind talent, generational talent, we like to say. But like the movie itself, I always felt like I was like, that's it? Like that's it?
This could be a two-parter because, like, we're talking about the basketball aspect of Space Jam and Michael Jordan too, but like the Looney Tunes had such huge staying power and were big through multiple generations. They were big when we were kids. You said you were a huge Looney Tunes fan as a kid?
Pretty big. I love Looney Tunes. I love Tom and Jerry. Much like Andrew, not to the same degree as Andrew with Scooby Doo, but like I do love the Looney Tunes. And I remember I had old VHS tapes that were like, that was one of the cartoons that I was allowed to watch when I was like younger. So I love Bugs Bunny, Elmer Fudd, Daffy Duck, Wile E. Coyote, Roadrunner. I almost said Samwise Gamgee, Sam. all of those were like really brought back a lot of memories. So watching them in this was funny because it was still very Looney Tunes, yes, but like it wasn't the same thing as those cartoons.
Yeah, it was heavily Bugs Bunny, and then whatever little interaction they can get with Michael Jordan was the whole thing here.
Mm-hmm. But it's just interesting to me how they looped them into this movie.
Yeah, this movie was huge for me as a kid. I played a lot of basketball as a kid. That was my favorite sport. So when I got a chance to watch this movie, I watched it every time. And to the point now where when I watched it the other day, I didn't even have to like see it. I could hear everything and then map out the entire plot. It's crazy like how that memory came back to me. I also grew up with Looney Tunes. I would go over and stay with my grandparents, and they would have like Cartoon Network, which we didn't have at our place. I would watch Cartoon Network in the morning, and it would always be like a Looney Tunes like 3-hour block or something like that. So it was two loves. It was basketball and it was Looney Tunes. And we have to talk about how big of a superstar Michael Jordan was, especially for the game of basketball. Like the world of sports and sports commercials and sports memorabilia, sports merchandise does not exist in the same level without Michael Jordan. From the shoes, starting with the Air Jordans, that ushered in a whole new genre of fashion, sports fashion, whatever you want to classify that as. It started with him in the 90s. It boosted Nike.
Michael Jordan's, it was revolutionary. And Michael Jordan is the first athlete to make money from those shoe deals. Because back then, people would sign with Converse and whatnot, and then get fees up front and whatnot. But Michael Jordan's deal with Nike was he would get residuals for years and years and years to come.
He's still getting them. He still has high-end contracts.
I mean, he's a billionaire. He's worth over $4 billion.
And his
I
in
wouldn't
his
say
in,
it's
and
only because of that deal, but
that was in his day and age, though. The NBA contracts he was getting were nowhere near what players are
nothing.
getting today. So to make
Nothing.
$1 billion is mostly off his merchandising and
Merchandising, but he's also just a great businessman in general,
is
and he
a
uses
great
his
gambler.
image.
A great
Oh, yeah.
gambler. He's
We'll
lost.
get into
He's
that.
lost probably another $1 billion on gambling alone.
He's probably lost things that he can't even put a price on in terms of his gambling. But no, Michael Jordan was, you want to think of like a Messi or Ronaldo. He was that. Like, I'm trying to find a comparison, but like
yeah,
he was
you don't have a comparison because like Ronaldo and Messi are still doing things on a smaller level than Jordan. Even they're just getting more money now, but that door is open because of Jordan. But he was the greatest basketball player of all time.
Some may say LeBron there, but I'm with you. I believe it's Jordan.
It's debatable, but I still think it's a weak debate. Jordan just is, and most of the people that say LeBron too didn't grow up like we did watching Michael Jordan. It was just a different day and age with the NBA.
It was a different day and age. I don't want to get into a LeBron Michael debate.
This is not a sports podcast, and there's other people out there that are debating that. We're not trying to get into that. We're just trying to
tell you how big and important and universal Michael Jordan was at this juncture.
This movie is based off a shoe deal because early in the Nike ads where they were running Michael Jordan's like shoe, I think it was just his typical basketball shoe. I don't know what he was actually like advertising, but he did it with the Looney Tunes. And it was a magazine spread, and it was like all over the place, like on bus stops and everything in New York. And it was one of the most popular ads at the time. And so Warner Brothers gets the idea is like, well, we can capitalize on this ad that people seem to love, Bugs Bunny with Michael Jordan. So they had TV commercials now with Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan. And so it became like a little duo, and they got the idea to do a movie. Why not? It's going to be a kid's movie, so Jordan doesn't have to be the greatest actor in the world. As long as kids recognize that it's Michael Jordan and it's the Looney Tunes, like, why not? You'll print money. And then not only that, but there was a video game. Did y'all play the Space Jam video game? We're talking about video games again.
Yes, I did.
It was basically NBA Jam with a
it was NBA Jam
with a Space Jam coding is all it was.
Yep.
Do you remember all the playable characters in that? Could you mix up the teams with the Monstars and Toon Squad? I don't remember playing it.
I don't remember the specifics. I just remember it being essentially a clone of Jam. I think you could play as the other NBA players in the movie, like Charles Barkley and Muggsy Bogues and stuff like that. But I don't remember. I would imagine you had a repertoire of Looney Tunes characters that you could cycle through. I'd have to look it up. But it was essentially just an NBA Jam is all that I remember, like you said, with a Looney Tunes skin.
So just kind of a copy-paste kind of thing?
Yeah.
Which is what they did with a lot of those. We've been talking about it for a couple of weeks now because we're in the animation kids movies. They're all going to get like some form of video game, whether it's just on Game Boy, NES, like at this day and age. I mean, 96, that would have been PlayStation era. So this is probably on PlayStation.
But I'm pretty sure this is one of those games that you would find at, say, like a Chuck E. Cheese. Like I could be wrong, but I thought I remember playing something like that in one of those arcade restaurants type arenas, if you will.
Oh, I'm sure, or a friend's house. Like, I mean, it was never a game that anybody owned, but you played it somehow. And then now we got to talk about the big merchandising tool for this movie, and that's the soundtrack that every kid had on CD.
Oh gosh, man, there's some tunes on here. It took me back.
I had a little portable CD player, and I used to listen to this soundtrack before a basketball game to hype myself up. I'm not the only one out there that did that.
I mean, you heard it. I didn't use it to hype myself up, but you heard it at like basketball games, like pre-games, like the local Y, at the skating rink or whatever. You'd hear it. At Chuck E. Cheese, you would hear like it was played everywhere. It was like on repeat for like 2 or 3 years, maybe even longer.
It's like I would say it's up there with like the Remember the Titans as being just so overplayed, like as a soundtrack. That in
I would put it over. I'd say it was played more than Remember the Titans, because some of these songs were like written specifically for this movie. It was so unique, and I don't know, people freaked out over it. Whereas Remember the Titans is just essentially a bunch of oldies
did
slapped
people?
into
I don't know if people
one.
freaked out over it or if kids freaked out over it because
I think
kids freaked out over it.
Kids definitely did. Kids definitely did.
And I think it was an easy soundtrack for adults to play at kids' basketball games because they didn't have to worry about censoring anything, and it was basketball related. Yeah. It was easy to pop that disc in and play. I listened to that CD so much it started skipping a lot. So that's what I had from this movie. Kyle, I know you remember this. I know Andrew does too, but I'm like prefacing this towards you. But the Scholastic Book Fair, do you remember going there and seeing the Space Jam comic books? Do you remember that? Does anyone remember that?
I remember there was a lot of those Scholastic Book Fairs that they would do, like after school or like whenever. Like there was always a bunch of stuff. I don't remember the comic books though, but you saying Scholastic Book Fair just brought me back in it, and like the smells of like the different like shit that would be out there, like the crafting supplies and like the books and the like. What a fun time!
Yeah, and your parents would give you like $20 or something, and it would be like an all day thing. You would try to like figure out the best combination of things to get more bang for your buck.
It's Space Jam posters. I remember that.
Yeah, Space Jam posters. I had a couple of the issues of the comic book. For whatever reason, I decided that's what I was going to spend my Scholastic Book Fair money on that year. It was the novelization of the movie, but in comic book form. It was a big waste of money. Like, there was other better options out there, but that's what I went for.
It sounds like it wasn't a waste because it tickled your fancy. And
it did tickle them.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember
more
it, so it has some staying power in my brain. I've dumped a lot of information.
For sure.
Everything I learned in college is gone, but I do remember the Scholastic Book Fair of 1997 and getting the Space Jam comic books. Thanks, Brooks Elementary in Killen, Alabama. That's a big shout out to all those
Brooks,
people there.
baby.
Yeah. We've talked about a little bit of everything with Space Jam. It's the reason it got started was, like I said, it was just kind of based off a commercial, and Warner Brothers saw an idea to make money. That's pretty much it. Now we're capitalizing on Michael Jordan's stardom. Now, there's a little bit of back and forth with Warner Brothers and Michael Jordan at this time because the movie takes place during the time that he retired his first time in the NBA and started playing minor league baseball for the Birmingham Barons.
Birmingham Barons.
Yeah, shout out to the hometown Birmingham. So he starts playing for Birmingham Barons, and Warner Brothers puts the movie on ice because they did not want to release the movie while he was playing baseball. So they waited until he came out of retirement again, which they didn't know was going to happen. Then they decided to make this movie, and they wrote it based on that time frame where he was retired from basketball and playing baseball. There you go. There's a little backstory right there. It has a pretty solid cast in it. I mean, a lot of the Looney Tunes characters are reprised for their roles. Mm-hmm. You have Danny DeVito. Who doesn't
Danny
love Danny DeVito? In the
good old Danny. I love Danny DeVito now. It doesn't matter when it is. Danny DeVito can do no wrong, in my opinion. So
he'll never top his Always Sunny character.
Probably not.
Frank Reynolds, baby.
So, Andrew, with all this merchandising, with all this lore around it, with all this money, did this movie make money?
Well, what do you all think? I just want your...
I think between
it made so much money.
Video games, soundtrack.
Money.
Yeah, there's
hundreds of millions of dollars.
So, domestic gross was about 90.5, international 140 million, altogether worldwide 230.6 million. So
what was the budget?
I'm looking up the budget because it's not on Box Office Mojo. I have to
get your shit together, Box Office Mojo. Unless you want to sponsor us, then a shout out to Box Office Mojo. That's who.
And then you Box Office Mojo.
Yeah. And you don't have to get your shit together if you sponsor us. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Right. I don't care. I'll look it up real quick. About 80 million is what Google says. So yeah, it made $170+ million profit.
And that's just the box office. That's not including. There was plush toys too that I remember some kids having, the Bugs Bunnies, Toon Squad, and the Lola Bunny, and which Lola, the character that we're going to get to in this movie, was created specifically for this movie. So they created a new Looney Tunes character for Space Jam. Between that, the comic books, the soundtrack, they were rolling in some money.
Yeah, they did a good job. They did not do poorly. And I think even over the years, they'll probably made even more.
More,
like,
yes.
Much, much more.
Especially from now that we're all like being nostalgic, and a lot of the millennials remember this movie fondly, especially millennials that play sports or watch sports now. It's just a nostalgic throwback. But is it any good? That's what we're about to find out now. And boy, are we. Andrew, where does this movie start and take place?
So, starts with young Michael Jordan. I believe the year is like 1973. So this is 10 years before he has made his mark on the world by winning national championship with North Carolina. But he's in his backyard. He's hooping. It's late. His dad comes out. He's like, "Son, what are you still doing out here? It's late. You should come to bed." And Michael's like, "Oh, just one more shot, Dad. One more."
He's like, "Okay, just one more."
Just one more. He makes it. And then he comes around. He's like, "Why don't you try it this way?" And he throws him a pass. He's like, "Throw up another. What I just said is completely irrelevant. Let's keep it going."
He says, "That's pretty good, son. Just shoot till you miss." And I'm like, I want to raise the point here. His dad comes out and says it's like 10 minutes after midnight or something like that.
Something like that.
And his dad's just being so kind-hearted and so nice. Like, "Boy, it's time to go to bed." And he's shooting in a neighborhood. If I was doing this at midnight, my dad would have beat my ass. Yeah, there's no way that this would have been allowed for you to go out and make all this noise.
Did they not have anything to do the next day? Like, is there nothing that they have better to do? Like, he doesn't have school. Dad doesn't have work.
His dad looked like he was already working. His dad came out of bed wearing, like, Dockers, and he was, like, already dressed for a shift somewhere.
He was already dressed for a beating. Is what he was dressed to give a beat down.
Yeah, and he kept agging this on, and then this ends when Kid Michael looks at the rim, and he starts to jump, and we get the impression he's about to do his first dunk, and then it cuts to this montage.
I wish they hadn't cut, because that kid wasn't going to be able to dunk. He just wasn't.
It would have been shit.
Yeah, that was like a 10-foot goal, and he was probably barely over 5 foot at that moment. He wouldn't have gotten close.
Would it be great if there's an edit where he just goes up for the dunk, misses completely, and falls and slams his head against the concrete, and his dad has to rush him to the hospital.
Has a brain injury.
Pulls a Kenyon Martin, is done. That's it.
Turns out it's not Michael Jordan. This was just a random kid that ended up like being hospitalized for the rest of his life.
It was a mentally ill kid who had grand delusions and psychosis. That's what it was. It wasn't Michael Jordan. But yeah, and then it cuts to a montage of his highlights. And these are like the grainiest, like shittiest highlights you could imagine.
They're tough.
It wasn't high definition whatsoever. I could go on YouTube and watch an hour-long compilation that had 10 times the clarity of this shit.
Just go watch The Last Dance. The Last Dance
go watch that.
Yeah, that's all
everything you needed. Yeah.
And not this nonsense. It's just a hype video, but it has one of those iconic songs in it, the Space Jam theme, which is all they're saying is "Welcome to the Jam." How about that jam?
Space Jam.
Yes, jam. Come on,
get down.
Yeah, it's like really 90s, but it has a good rhythm to it. I will say that. But after it's done with the little montage, because it's like, we need to know who Michael Jordan is.
Yeah, who doesn't know at this point?
Yeah, he was considered the greatest of all time at that moment, so we didn't need this. But they go to a press conference where Michael Jordan's retiring and talking about playing baseball. In the little driveway with his dad, he says, "I'm going to play baseball just like you, Dad." And that's it. That's the plot.
A little news flash for actuality in real life. His dad had just been shot to death when he retired. And it was, yes, you didn't know this, Kyle?
No, I pretend I know nothing about it. I'm so far out of it. I don't care.
His dad was gunned down. He was killed.
Wasn't he stopped at a gas station? He was sleeping sleeping in a car in a rest stop, and they pulled aside and shot and killed him and robbed him, basically.
For what?
Yep.
Just because?
No, they were trying to rob him. He was asleep in his car at a rest stop, and they were going to rob him. And so they just shot him and robbed him, and they didn't have anything.
Yeah. There are some people who think it was related to Michael Jordan's gambling, but who the hell knows?
His dad somebody put a hit out like on his dad.
Yeah. Regardless, that was horrible. His dad clearly didn't deserve to be killed like that, but it really bothered him. It really bothered him. It completely derailed his career for 2 or 3 years.
Really?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons he retired. Because he had already kind of reached a pinnacle. He had already won. He had already had a three-peat with the Bulls. I was like, what else do I want to do? My dad was a baseball player. Why don't I go make him proud and play something on the diamond for him? I don't know if that's exactly what he was thinking, but he was kind of a lost soul at that juncture.
It was kind of,
he did play baseball too, right?
Yes. And he was horrible. Let's go ahead and
he was
spoiler alert. He was horrible in real life, and because of his fame and stardom, the Birmingham Barons were like, "We'll sell tickets," and they just put him in their minor league affiliate
of the White Sox.
Yeah, the White Sox. And so he was playing in Birmingham and selling out every game, and the Birmingham Barons were able to fund a lot of stuff. But he was I think he had a .8 batting average. He was so bad.
No, he was 210. But still not very good.
No,
not good at all.
Not majors worthy.
No, I mean that's not great by today's standards. Back then, that was terrible.
Yeah,
because that was in the epitome of the steroid era. So people were
you're
batting 400, 500.
400, 500. Yeah, Barry Bonds kind of shit.
He led the Barons in strikeouts every year that he played, by a large margin. So. Yeah, he just wasn't. He was clearly very athletic and probably a great defender, but in terms of hitting and whatnot, no, wasn't his game. Wasn't his thing.
There's not many Deion Sanders
or Bo Jackson.
Yeah, it's you can't.
I know you love that reference, Chase.
I love Bo Jackson. It's hard to hate Bo Jackson. I know he played for a rival school. We will not mention them on the air because they don't deserve that.
They don't.
But. I love Bo, but those are two just
specimens.
Yeah, it's hard to beat pure athletes like that. And Jordan, and even you can watch some of Jordan's highlights, and he just kind of looked like a fish out of water on the baseball field, especially hitting.
He was good as a defender, though. He was good in the open field. But in terms of the technicalities of baseball, no, he hadn't played in years. Probably hadn't played since high school. At that point, he was early 30s, I believe, late 20s. It just wasn't his thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't his thing. He had honed his craft by being the greatest basketball player ever, not the greatest baseball. So it's not something you can just switch to and from that easily.
And then the only reason, let's just be real, the only reason he got even a look was because of who he was.
Because of his name, yeah.
But we're in the middle of that, so we cut to Michael Jordan striking out, and the catcher's trying to help him out, and it frustrates Michael Jordan. He's like, yeah, you got fastball outside, don't swing, and he swings at it anyway.
Yeah.
He's like, why'd you do that, man? I told you not to swing.
Second one, he's like, that's your pitch. He's like, yeah, I just missed it. And he's like, don't worry, I'll get you another one.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, and he does, and then Indeed does not get him another one. And he fucking
curveball, don't swing, swings again, and strikes out on 3 pitches. And then the catcher's like, yeah, no, he's talking to you. As Michael Jordan goes back to the dugout. So they're playing into his celebrity, and everybody knows his celebrities. He goes back to the dugout. He's not really having a great time. Then we're introduced to, what's his name?
Wayne Knight.
Yeah, we're introduced to Wayne Knight, who comes in straight from Jurassic Park on his way to Space Jam.
Also Seinfeld. Yeah. Don't forget, he was a reoccurring character.
He was a regular on Seinfeld. That's true.
Regular. Yeah. It wasn't reoccurring. He was a regular.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, he's bumbling idiot, but they hire him to be Michael Jordan's assistant.
He was like a publicist or something like that. But
I don't know.
Yeah, he was. That's what he said. He said he was the publicist. And he said it multiple times, but he was hired to make sure that Michael Jordan had the best life possible.
And look, and this character can't even chew gum and walk at the same time. He's like falling over shit and knocking bats over in the dugout when he goes and meets Michael. Like, he is a walking disaster. I'm surprised Michael would even live through this. And so the next step is for him to be behind the wheel of a car with Michael in the passenger seat. For them to, like, hype up Michael Jordan as this mega celebrity, they don't really treat him like a celebrity in this life. Like, he gets in this old beat-up piece of shit car with this weirdo.
It's an old Chevy Impala, and it's a very old Chevy Impala, and not really well-kept Chevy Impala. It's terrible.
And he drives him to Michael Jordan's house, and he's just walking around in the neighborhood like that would actually happen. And his house is not even – his house just seems like a normal Disney Channel style house. It doesn't seem
it's just like a
nothing
classic
fits.
two-story.
Nothing fits right now. This is a megastar. He goes inside his own home, and his kids are watching him on ESPN strike out and having a bad weekend at baseball. And it's Jim Rome just torching him. And
fucking Jim Rome.
Yeah.
That guy's such a...
Who is that?
He's an ESPN guy. He had his own show, Rome is Burning. He's a sconce.
He's a dick.
He's not Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless, but he's not far behind.
He was kind of the start.
He's kind of useless.
Yeah, he's kind of the start of all that. Like, where instead of giving actually analytical knowledge or statistics on sports, he would just bash
He
whoever.
plays a character.
Yes.
He plays a character and says really... He just
takes.
Hot takes. He was the originator of Hot Take Central, essentially.
Yes. And it's just like what they do today with ESPN analysts. They just make a really hot take just to get clicks and people to, like, tune in. And the take will be the most ridiculous take of all time. It'll be
just kind of clickbait bullshit.
Yeah. He's not a ball knower. He's not a ball knower at all.
It'll be something strange. Like, the Texas Rangers are the best franchise in baseball right now. It'd be something like, and you're like, what?
That's hilarious. We just swept them.
Yeah.
I know you're making a joke, but, like, still.
Yeah, no, but it's like, it would be something like that.
I understand why this movie is big. It's just like, I don't know. We're kind of getting to the points of this movie that it's proving the point that I'm trying to make, which is like, okay, but, like, why do we love it so much? You know? Like,
we haven't gotten.
I don't know.
We haven't gotten to anything. The dialogue is very short, and the scenes are snappy. So it's pop, 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 pop. There's no plot right now other than Jordan's playing baseball. People are booing him at baseball, but he's just like, I don't know if this baseball thing's working out. Then we cut to a far off planet. What was it? Moron Mountain? Was it?
Yeah, Moron Mountain.
Yeah, was that the name of the planet, or was that the name of the theme park? Or,
I don't know.
Or the ride?
It's very quick. We're there, and there's Danny DeVito's character. He's this sleazy,
like a theme park owner, like a
casino owner,
almost.
And he's got these little minions that are tiny and got squeaky voices. They're kind of almost like Looney Tunes characters in themselves. And they're running this theme park, and there's like two kids there. And they're like, this park blows, and he's upset. He's trying to find a way to make money, and he's like, we need a new attraction. And all he's got
a Palantir system that surveils everything, so he listens to every single conversation. He heard that little teeny bopper complain to his dad about how he didn't like it, and that's when he brings his minions, and he's like, all right, we got to do something here. This is not acceptable. It's like, okay, cool.
And what happens is the security cams he's looking at just turn into TV feeds, and they start watching the Looney Tunes from another planet. So this
they are aliens, mind you. They are very foreign to Earth, green and purple, and I want to set the tone that we are talking about alien life form here. I don't want that missed.
So they see the Looney Tunes on the TV, and he's like, that's it. That's our attraction. And he basically sends his little tiny doofus minions to Toonland, I guess. But here's where I got confused a little bit. Because Looney Tunes exist on Earth, right? And we'll get to how they exist on Earth a little bit later when they're introduced to Michael Jordan. But they exist basically as like in the sub-hemisphere of the planet. are underground, and these guys exist on another planet. But we cut immediately to them in the Toon world. But they would have to go through the human world to get there, so we just bypass that altogether. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it here, but
you're overthinking it. I'm telling you, you're overthinking it. It's not. It ain't that deep.
It's not. It's just take it for what it is.
It's one of those things. If they didn't do this the opposite way later, it wouldn't have mattered to me. You know, it's just not being consistent. But anyway, they show up and Bugs Bunny's there to greet them, but kind of he's being like his typical sarcastic asshole self. And they're like, we're looking for Bugs Bunny, which, red flag number 2, you were watching Bugs Bunny on the TVs. You should know what he looks like. He's not dressed up like anything here. He's just himself. So you should have been like, oh, you're Bugs Bunny. So he starts to kind of like fuck with them, really. And then they end up like, hey, you are Bugs Bunny. And they
shoot him.
They shoot him with a giant laser. Should have killed him.
Yeah.
I would have loved if they killed him and just carried his carcass into like that gymnasium with all the other Looney Tunes and dropped his like bloody corpse right there and challenged them to a game of basketball. And then the rest of the movie's like, oh, we need a replacement for Bugs. We need to get Michael Jordan. And that's where it comes in. Bugs Bunny is dead and gone. But maybe that's just me.
Maybe.
But anyway, they take Bugs. They capture Bugs and take him to see the rest of the Tunes. And what happens here, Kyle?
So this is where it truly starts to get loony now. Putting the Looney Tunes. It's just like nice. They're like, you ever seen Bugs Bunny? Like you said, you ever seen Bugs Bunny? No, never seen him before in my life. Does he look like this? He talk like this? He's like, hey, what's up, Doc? Like this? And they're like, yeah, never seen him. And they're trying to get the one over on these aliens that were coming there to like enslave them. They're like, well, you got to give us a fighting chance. And then they open up like it says a rule book, and they open up the rule book, and it has like a little piece of loose leaf paper that says you have to give him a chance. And like, I always thought that's why I like Looney Tunes. That kind of shit's funny. Like, it's absurd, and then it's even more absurd, and it's clear, and like, they're aliens, just real dumb.
The aliens are so dumb. They're just like, yeah, it's in the rule book.
It's in the rule book. We got to do it.
And mind you, all of the other tunes, they're at some like town hall. They're in some like town hall, and Bugs Bunny was wrapped up in chains, and they pulled their little laser gun, ray gun on the Looney Tunes to show they meant business. Because at first it's like 5 little creatures, each a different color, green, blue, purple, red, yada, yada, yada. And the Looney Tunes are like, you fucking kidding me? No, we're not gonna be your slaves. And then they pull a gun on them, and it's like, oh shit, things are different. They mean business now.
Which is funny.
But
I just thought that whole sequence was very Looney Tunes. I did enjoy it. I will say I did enjoy it.
Yeah, fun. I mean, when Michael Jordan's not in this film or any other athlete, and they're just focusing straight on the Looney Tunes, that's where it really shines. And this segment was entertaining. I mean, it's still kids humor. Like, most of this movie is not going to have anything adult friendly in this. I guess the adults at the time would have liked to see Michael Jordan and all the other professional athletes. Because I do want to reiterate that this movie was kind of its own thing at the time. You didn't really see athletes cross over into the acting world too much unless they really wanted to cross over. You had OJ in the 90s with the Naked Gun movies, but it didn't happen frequently, especially them playing themselves, and now you have an athlete playing himself in the starring role. So it is unique. It's not unique now, but it was at the time. But they decide to challenge the aliens to basketball to a game of basketball because they're tiny, they're uncoordinated.
Little
little pipsqueaks, and they were like, yeah, we can just dominate in basketball. And the aliens are like, what's basketball? And so they show them this like 1950s style like PE class basketball infomercial, and they learn the game of basketball that way. And then what happens next, Andrew?
They're small little creatures. So they're the ones they decide they need to garner some sort of skill or power. So they show up to
Madison
It's a
Square Garden.
Suns.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be Madison Square Garden. Doesn't look like it. But Knicks home game. Knicks for Suns. You've got Patrick Ewing on the Knicks. You've got Charles Barkley on the Suns. And they show up in like a trench coat. Go ahead, Kyle.
When I was a kid, I didn't know. This is part of the issue. Is like when I was a kid, I didn't know who these people were. I thought like I didn't know. I also wasn't like privy to like basketball players and like what they looked like. And I kind of assumed like they all needed to look like a, I don't know, like a athlete. And some of them look like athletes. Some of them definitely don't. But like I did know who Patrick Ewing was.
You're talking about Charles Barkley. I know who you're talking about because Charles Barkley.
I know who Charles Barkley is now. Yeah, my mother actually met him outside of the Eagles concert last year, the year before, years ago.
He has
such a nice guy.
Shout out to Atlanta.
I love Charles. I didn't know who these dudes were either. I knew who Muggsy Bogues was because Muggsy Bogues was the shortest player on the planet. He was 5'3", like in real life, but he was a starting point guard for the Charlotte Hornets and was actually really good. 5'3". I knew him. I didn't know Barkley until I got a bit older. I didn't know Ewing until I got a bit older because for the first time I watched this, I was like 5 years old. Came out in 96, but at that point I was 4. I wouldn't have been aware of any of that stuff. So 5 or 6, still didn't know those dudes. It wasn't until I got to be 8, 9, 10 that I recognized, big names. I didn't even know who Larry Bird was at the time.
Yeah,
too young, just way too young for me personally.
I actually knew all these players. That's how big of a fan I was. I had a Muggsy Bogues jersey it was technically my brother's jersey that I stole from him. And funny thing is, like, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, he texted me and asked me if I still had it. And I was like, no, I don't have the Muggsy Bogues jersey. You should have kept it.
I don't know if I wouldn't have given that up, though.
I think I kept it in the closet, and I never wore it because it was his jersey. And so it's like a 7-year-old trying to wear an extra large it would just like engulf me. But I kept it because I loved the jersey. And it was still in like my closet, and then I moved out, and I think my dad kept it for a long time, and then it just kind of vanished. I don't actually know what happened with it. I'm sure my dad just got fed up with it like taking up space and took it out back and burned it or something, and now my brother's on the hunt for it. So Brian, I hope you find it. It would be
I do too, Brian.
Yeah, it'd be really
cool. I hope you do too.
But, yeah, so they're in Madison Square Garden, and these little aliens are dressed up in this like trench coat. They look weird.
Being weird. They're making noises, and then I don't know like how they.
The guy was next to his wife, and he was like, "Shut up, Charles Barkley's killing us." And he's like, "Somebody's killing somebody."
Yeah, like somebody's killing someone.
That's it. That's the killer.
And then the one of them becomes like this, like it turns into like some like gaseous form, if you will. They leave their physical entity and kind of slither onto the court in some gaseous form, and it sounds ridiculous, but they place themselves inside Charles Barkley's body through like his nose, his mouth, and he gets taken over by this gaseous form and like has like a convulsion, and then that alien leaves, and then Charles has no basketball skills because in that moment they stole his skills, they stole his talent, and now he's just a dumbwit on the court who can't catch a ball, can't pass, can't shoot. He's literally
they don't just take his just his talent. They take his hand-eye coordination, his motor skills,
his motor
everything.
skills.
He can't even run.
He's physically handicapped at this point.
For real. Like he's acquired a handicap.
Yes, and at this point he's just kind of like staring like a deer, like, what do I do? And then the Knicks go on a run, and the coach is pissed and calls the timeout, and then they get back on the court in regulation, and then they do the same thing to Patrick Ewing. Yep. They steal his physical abilities, all of them.
So they end up giving it to Charles Barkley, Sean Bradley, Patrick Ewing, Larry Johnson, and Muggsy Bogues. So those are the 5 that they take their talents from. So now we're speeding along here. So now the aliens have NBA superstar talent. I mean, because Patrick Ewing, Muggsy Bogues, Charles Barkley, like Larry Johnson. Sean Bradley's kind of a stretch, but he was very good at the time. But
yeah, he was a big name.
Yeah, he was a big man, reliable big man. So they have some major talent with them. And they head back to the Toon World, and the Looney Tunes are just kind of taking it easy and like practicing, and they don't really know much about basketball either. They just know that they're bigger than the little aliens, and the aliens show up and they're like, "Hey, we have time to practice on the court, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." And so they take out this basketball with all the talent in it, and it goes into their bodies and just turns them into these like mutant, huge monsters.
Yeah, they're now like 20 feet tall each.
But they're monster versions of the NBA stars.
They're players.
Yeah, because Muggsy Bogues'
Still
monster is still small. Sean Bradley's character is very wiry, slim, but very tall. So they're kind of like mirrored image of that. And they start like dunking and just tearing up the court. And the Looney Tunes like, oh shit, we may be in trouble now. And what happens next, Kyle, after that?
I have to say, totally forgot Bill Murray was in this film.
Dan
100%.
Aykroyd.
Sorry, it's the actor Dan Aykroyd. That was
great.
Okay, we'll get there at some point, but that was great. That was pretty funny. And but they're off at a golf course, and Jordan's little lackey is tagged along behind him, being really annoying.
It's Jordan and Wayne Knight and
it's
Bill
also
Murray.
Larry Bird.
Larry Bird, yes. It's
Bird
a
Man.
solid foursome, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun, and they're having funny interactions, and they're being competitive, and like Bill Murray's like, the league's going through some changes right now, and you could really use a guy who
he's
could,
wanting to
play,
live out his
play offense.
basketball fantasy.
Yeah. He's like a guy who can play offense and also do the halftime show. It's pretty good.
Bill Murray is
pretty good.
He doesn't look athletic in the least. Like there's nothing. He's good at golf. He's always been good at golf. But in terms of other sports, no. Maybe a bowler.
No.
Yeah.
But nothing beyond that.
Well, so in this point, like the Looney Tunes are like, we're gonna need some help. So they circle through this golf course where Michael Jordan's playing, and Wayne Knight's character pulls out this camera and starts taking photos.
This is after he hits a hole in one. He hits the hole in one. Don't forget that.
Yeah, he hits.
We gotta talk about hole in one.
Hits the hole in one. He's reaching into the cup. They're taking photos. Then he gets sucked into the hole, and the Looney Tunes grab him. And Bill Murray just saves the whole scene by going over there and going, "What kind of camera is that? Hand me that."
He's like, "Go take care of that. Don't point it at me."
Yeah, he's like, "Don't point at me. Cover the lens cap." Like he's just like, he thinks it's the camera that like made him vanish into this golf hole. And then we flash forward and we get Michael Jordan introduced to the Looney Tune world, don't we, Andrew?
Yeah, he gets pulled into I guess Toontown. Is that what you call it? Is that where they live?
Toon World, Toontown. So,
World.
And this is what I was saying. It's basically underneath a golf course. It's another world underneath a golf course, but he's in Toon World now.
Yeah.
So this is why we don't even want to just go down the path of like, how does that work or what? We just accept it.
It doesn't matter. He's just there.
It doesn't matter. He's there. He's in their world now.
He's pretty calm about it. I will say that. He's like, oh.
There's nothing really to point out in this scene, too. I mean, like, we can just speed through this because there's nothing that really happens, nothing really funny, nothing that jumps out to me. It's just a scene to move the plot along. But
they show up in the gym, right? Like
he's in there, and they're begging him to play on their team that they need help, or they're going to.
And he's like, "I don't play basketball anymore. I play baseball."
Which is dumb because it's like you can't play a pickup basketball game. You have sworn basketball off for the rest of your life because now you play baseball. You can't even entertain the idea.
I think in the moment when that came out, it probably hit pretty well. Like it was probably funny to some. Like, I see what he's doing. They're really making a play on what's happening in his life. How timely.
Whatever. So they are like, yeah, you got to play for us or we'll end up being slaves. And he's like, I don't play basketball anymore. And then the Monstars, which is what their name is, the collection of aliens that have stolen the talent, end up rolling him up like a basketball and dribbling him around.
Yeah, how did he not die? Like they folded him up so many times.
Keep in mind, he's not turned into a toon. He is still a human.
He's still a human. Yeah.
So that should have killed him instantly.
Yep.
Like it's kind of like the Ernest Scared Stupid episode that we did. Please go back and listen to that episode, everybody. Where Ernest ended up in the trash compactor of the garbage truck and got squished and came out with his legs folded over his head and still somehow lived. I don't know.
That was some great animation they used to turn him into a ball. It was 10 out of 10 good.
10 out of 10 good.
So after he gets like thrown around like a basketball, he agrees, and it shows him agreeing with the tunes. He's like, if I'm gonna play with you guys, I'm gonna need some things, and you're gonna need to go back to my house and get them. Like, why they couldn't just let him go back to his house and then re-enter the Toon World, I don't know.
What did they have to go back and get, Chase?
His North Carolina shorts is one of them.
He wore them,
wore them
underneath every. What did he say, Andrew? He said he wore them underneath every single
like home game.
Which he
home
did.
Game
that was a real thing. He always had those shorts on underneath his Bulls jersey. So I guess it was a superstitious thing. But then they got his sneakers and then a cotton T-shirt, essentially, and that's all he needed to get going.
Yeah,
so,
and not questioning how long he's going to be there. He doesn't question anything about the Toon World. Like
he's not questioning existential extremities around him. Like, he's just accepted the fact that he is now in a animated world.
For him, he's treating it like a minor inconvenience. Like, if you pull up to a gas pump and it has the yellow tape on it, you just go to the other gas pump. That's the level of frustration that Michael Jordan's showing from having his whole world ripped away into this Toon World, that different physics and animations and shit like that exist, and he doesn't question any of that. He's just like, yeah, go get my North Carolina shorts. So if we flash forward again, they could have let him do that himself and have him come back, but no, they hold him hostage. And Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny leave to go.
He can do his home in the middle of the night.
They burrow one. Daffy is a duck. True. So he goes underground and burrows and ends up meeting their dog, this like French bulldog.
Named Charles.
Yeah, named Charles. I don't know if that's a stab at Barkley. But anyway, Daffy's basically running from this dog, and his kids end up helping them get Michael Jordan's stuff. It's a long story short. The dog gets a hold of the North Carolina shorts, and they're trying to battle the dog for them, and the kids just show up aggressively, snag the shorts from the dog. The dog runs away, and the Looney Tunes tell the kids, it's like, hey, your dad's helping us play basketball. Don't tell anybody. And they leave. And did I summarize that correctly enough?
So essentially, yeah, cool. Let's get going.
Yeah. There's nothing funny or clever about any of this, other than there was a scene. So as they go back, right, they're going back to the golf course. Wayne Knight's there, and he's dug up the entire hole. Like, it's like maybe going 8 feet deep. And
some old people like pull up to that hole, like, what are you doing, young man? He's like,
fixing a divot.
Fixing a divot. And they're like, oh, okay.
Well,
see you later. Yeah.
But
no questions asked.
So this was a line that was delivered, and I did not understand it as a child. But as they're walking back, Wayne Knight sees Daffy and Bugs walking back, and Daffy's like, I got a team name for you. How about the Ducks? And Bugs looks at him and goes, what kind of Mickey Mouse organization names their team the Ducks? And that didn't hit me as a kid, and then I realized, oh, that's a shot at Disney and the Mighty Ducks. Yeah.
Yep.
So, bravo there. Very clever. The only clever line that they gave the entire movie. But now,
there's one more. Okay. But go on.
But as they're going back in the Toon World, we get flashes of the NBA players going through doctors' offices, psychics, whatever that they can, because they've just lost their talent, and they can't figure out why. And 5 of them did, so the whole NBA just shuts the season down because players are refusing to take the court because they don't know what this illness is and if it lasts forever or whatever. So until they figure that out, the NBA shut down. There's a bunch of scenes. There's a sex joke in there somewhere. I think the doctor's like asking.
There was. What was the sex? It was like, have you ever had any trouble performing?
Yeah. Do you have problems performing? And he's like, no.
Anywhere. Other areas of life off the court, and Patrick's like, no, what are you talking about, man? That's pretty much it.
Yeah, sex joke there that I didn't catch when I was a kid. But, so now we're back in the Toon World, right, Andrew?
Yeah, So we just left the Hollywood Forum. The NBA commissioner canceled the season or suspended it for the time being. And now it's Michael Jordan, the Toon Squad versus Monstars and their little epic showdown in Toon World.
We're in this big arena. It's time for the big game, and all the tunes from Looney Tunes World have packed out this arena. Andrew, I think it was standing room only, don't you?
Yeah, or not. It was sold out. There wasn't a ticket to be spared. So, packed house, baby. Packed house, prime time.
Those tunes to see if they're going to be slaves or not.
Sent slaves in a foreign planet. So, different galaxy.
But they're excited. They're treating it like any normal basketball game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not like they're about to be enslaved for centuries, eons, eternity.
And not a whole lot happens here. They do the starting lineups just like they used to do for the Bulls, and pretty much do these days too. But they introduced Michael Jordan in the starting five, and then the Monstars, as they are, just beat the shit out of them in that first half.
Mm-hmm. It was 60-18 at halftime.
Yeah.
At one point, they go like, the scoreboard reads, it's a little one-sided, eh?
Yeah, I think I wrote it down. It's a 48-point lead at half. And I was like, my God.
Hey, you don't really come back from that.
No, you can just sit on the ball in the second half. So we go to the locker room. Tunes are down 48. They're, feeling horrible, dejected. And Michael Jordan's trying to give them this pep talk. And that's when Bugs puts some water in a Gatorade container and puts a note on it in Sharpie and piece of paper that says Michael's secret stuff. And Bugs is like, convinced the Tunes that Michael has a secret beverage that he takes that just hypes him up. And they pass that around. They all drink it. We got to mention, too, that Wayne Knight's on the team because he's ended up sneaking into the Toon World. We forgot to mention this. Doesn't really matter. But he sneaks into the Toon World, and he says, Michael, I want to help. And he's like, okay, you can be on the team. And basically a bench warmer. And so he's been bench warming the whole game. And he does't get any of the secret stuff as it's being passed around. But they come out of the tunnel in the second half, and they just go on basically a 46-0 run. Andrew, those typical 46-0 runs, you seen those very often?
Yeah. Not I've seen a 32-13 run, but not a 46-0 run. So that's pretty historical.
Happen. Yeah, unless you some high school game somewhere or an elementary game, maybe. But
But at this point, they're not even really playing basketball. They're beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, it's just a wrestling match. It's a boxing match.
They're using TNT and throwing bricks and there are multiple flagrants, multiple technicals,
multiple felonies.
Multiple felonies. They essentially flip the game on the Monstars and allow Michael to dance around them while they kick him in the shins and drop anvils on their heads.
There's one funny part where they're running back on defense, and Sam has his two pistols out, and he's just holding one of the Monstars captive with his two pistols. I was like, I didn't know that was a defensive strategy you could do.
People got shot in this movie. People got shot a couple times in this movie.
Explosions.
I'm pretty sure Sylvester got shot in the chest earlier, and there was a giant hole in his chest cavity, and he was still walking around. So shit's happening left and right.
There's no such thing as a foul in this game.
No.
They're letting everything go, but the game itself doesn't last too long. It's pretty quick, a bunch of montages of Looney Tunes shit and just people getting fouled. And
also, Chase, I don't know if you caught this, but did you notice that they decided to use college rules by means of time?
Yeah,
there weren't quarters.
It was
just
first and second half. Yeah, first and second half.
That's not how they do it in the NBA. There's a first, second, and third quarter. You would think that they would follow those professional guidelines, but I don't know.
It was easier for a movie. You could just separate it into halves. Yeah, and they didn't have to worry about quarters and whatnot. So they play this So at this point in the game, the Tunes are down by 2 or something like that?
Something like that.
But they get Wayne Knight's character in because someone gets hurt or something?
something like that. We should also talk about how Wayne Knight was hiding in the Monstars locker room and heard them talking.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That's right. Yes.
How they stole the NBA talents. Like he was there, and he was the one who relayed that to Jordan and Bugs and the rest of the Looney Tunes.
Yes. Basically, they said, you'll be a slave too. And he's like, okay, but if we win, you got to give the talent back. And I was like, why are you making more bets down 48? Well, I wouldn't be making...
Michael Jordan loves to gamble. He loves to gamble, so it makes perfect sense
and
in this situation.
And he was like, and I'll put my car on the line too for your planet. And give me your planet. What else can I put? What else can we do? So anyway, at this point, Wayne Knight's character comes off the bench. I can't remember why. I don't know if Michael just looked at him and goes, okay, well...
Everyone was like fucking dead. Like they were bandaged up and hurt and on fire or burnt. Like they had the iron lung there attached to Daffy, who was wrapped up like a mummy. So like everyone was wounded. Like they had to put their lives on the line.
I would rather play with 4 than play with Wayne Knight. But they put him on the court and he comes through for them. I think he ties.
He scores
the game.
A bucket.
Yeah,
he does,
because they all jump on him and crush him, and as they're crushing him, the ball flies out and just happens.
And just miraculously, it was happenstance. There was no skill involved in that basket.
I think they scored as 2 points, and it was definitely a 3 because it was
definitely a 3
from half court. But it also looked like it went backwards too, which makes me think it should have been a basket for the Monstars. The angle of how they shoot this is very strange. But they get off of him, and he's completely flat, so they have to bring the EMS out so that they can pump him back up with a bike tire pump.
Yeah, good old Looney Tunes moment there.
Yeah, and the animation here is good because they're kind of blending both animation styles here. Animation's never bad. It's your typical Looney Tunes stuff, and it's not egregious. Like, none of that kind of was bad, I don't think. But we're getting to the waning seconds, and there's a point where they're down another man, and they're down to 4 people, and the ref comes over and tells them, hey, you need another person, you're going to have to forfeit, which is not in basketball. You can play with 4.
You can.
So, and it's like, why are you upholding that part of the rule when you haven't upheld any rule at all? And at that time, Michael Jordan looks up at the clock, and he's like, oh, 10 seconds left? Now you tell me? And he's like, dude, you're Michael Jordan. You should have, like, that wherewithal to know how much time's left on the clock.
And guess who shows up to save the day?
Yeah, because they need that other person.
You will never guess.
It's Bill Murray.
Mr. Bill Murray.
Dan
Aykroyd.
Hey, Dan Aykroyd's not in this picture.
That was, what's his name? Danny DeVito character's line. I laughed at that. That was the only time I laughed.
That was very clever. I didn't know Dan Aykroyd was in this picture. Great shot at Bill Murray. But Bill Murray comes in and starts drawing up a play on offense, and they're like, no, we're on defense. And he's like, well,
he's
y'all
like, I don't do defense. Here, Bugs or Jordan, you take this.
I don't do that. Guys, listen to Michael on this one.
Yeah.
It's like, I think they were going to listen to Michael either way, but here we go. So they draw up this elaborate play, get the steal, and what happens after they get the steal, Kyle? 10 seconds goes by.
After they get the steal, we get for real. So all the Monstars gang up on Michael, little Michael, and they start weighing him down, and he's just like, he's already jumped at half court, and he's jumped up. And it seems like he's so far away from the basket, and then they do that like weird zoom, like pan zoom, whatever, where it seems like it's getting farther away but closer at the same time. And they do a pullback shot, and his arm is just getting longer and longer and longer, and the clock's running out, and it's getting longer and longer, and then it's all of a sudden his arm is like 14 feet long, and he just like floops it right into the basket. Not a slam dunk, just a fucking little floop, little dropped it in, and then they win.
That's it. Danny DeVito's character comes down, and he's just being an asshole. And he's like, "You don't want to go work for him, do you?" And they're like, "No." And what happens? They basically put him on a rocket and shoot him back to Moron Mountain.
Something like that. Yeah.
Pop him back on there. They're like, "Why do you listen to him anyways?" And they're like, "Well, we listened to him because we were small." but we're not small. And then they proceed to fuck him up. They put him on that rocket and they blast him back.
Yep. And then that's when Michael gets a ball back and they give their talent back. And then the little pipsqueaks are like, Mr. Bunny, can we be Looney Tunes? And they're like, okay. And then
we'll see. Yeah.
And then here comes Wayne Knight's character, completely fine, should be dead. He comes over and he goes, Michael, you have a baseball game in 5 minutes. And I was like, well, he's not making it. You might as well go ahead and call somebody and tell him that he's done. But what does Michael Jordan do? He's like, yeah, I can do it. He gets the basketball, puts it in his bag, and it cuts over to a spaceship landing in Birmingham, Alabama. So Michael has just shown the world of space travel and revealed that alien life does exist and possibly parallel universes. No one questions it. He lands in a spaceship, and which they weren't in space. I don't know. Anyway, so he lands in a spaceship, comes down, and he's not even really. Was he dressed for baseball? I don't even think he was wearing his uniform.
I don't think he was ready yet. No.
Yeah.
No. I'm pretty sure he had changed back into his Baron's uniform.
Yeah.
I think he had.
He was ready to go 0 for 3 at the plate with one walk. So he gets off his spaceship, and everyone's cheering him. So after he gets off the spaceship and plays the game, what happens next, Kyle?
So now we do the good thing and we give the powers back to his competitors. Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Muggsy, whatever the fuck his name is, and the tall white guy.
Sean Gardner.
So
Sean Bradley.
Bradley, not Gardner, my bad.
Sorry to Jim Day. So we give all of the powers back by coming in. They're all in like a gymnasium having like an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. I'm nothing. And the short guy's like, well, at least you guys are tall. I'm just a short guy. That's it. And they were like, yeah, you are. I was like, fuck, that's tough. He just eviscerated him. And he was like, yeah. You're like, yeah, no, you're right. You're shit because we're at least tall. So I thought that was kind of funny. But Michael Jordan walks in holding the basketball, or he's not holding the basketball, but what's his face is. Dennis Nedry is holding the basketball. And they go in. He's like, I'm probably gonna regret doing this, but touch the ball. And it's like it takes them like 3 minutes of convincing to get them to touch this ball. I was over it. I was so like, touch the fucking ball. Do you want like? He's like, you get your powers back, you get your skills back. And they're like, oh, I don't know, I can't touch. I don't know. Touch the fucking ball and be done with it and get back to it. They all touch the ball. All of a sudden, they can effortlessly do a layup or a slam dunk.
It was the most minute basketball motions that like a normal person could possibly like get through. They weren't doing anything insane, and they were dunking, but it was like the typical just go up two-handed dunk that I've seen 1,000 times in high school. They weren't doing anything to be like crazy with it. Like Muggsy does put on some handle skills there with his dribbling, but other than that, it was a very lame scene. And then they were like, Michael, why don't you stay and play some 3-on-3 with us? And he's like,
I play baseball. I can't do it. And they're like, man, shut the fuck up and play. You can still play basketball, you little shit.
You must have watched the uncensored version. Mine's like, what the poop, Michael?
Do you think that they could keep Charles Barkley censored for that entire movie?
That's why he only got to say like 2 sentences.
Come on, man. But does he? I guess he sticks around and plays. We don't really see it, and then we fast forward to a real game in Chicago, and he's returned. He's in the lineup with the Bulls again, and all is right in the world.
Yeah, and
Michael Jordan
with him in a fast break dunk, and it catches him mid-flight, and that's where the movie takes pretty much a still frame, and then the credits start rolling, and that's Space Jam.
Space Jam!
Kyle, let's start with you. I know you got a lot to say. What do you think about Space Jam as an adult versus when you were a child?
Well, as a child, I didn't understand what was going on, really, except for the Looney Tunes part. The basketball stuff was cool, but I didn't understand the references. I understand more of the references now because I know after watching the Magic Johnson series on HBO who a lot of those players were and how like prolific they were and how big of a deal they were. So it was cool to see them interact with each other. Cinematography, the golf course, I liked that whole scene. The cinematography there was pretty nice. I love the Looney Tunes. Always likes seeing the Looney Tunes do their thing. Pretty fun. But overall, I think I laughed at the same things. I picked up on some of the adult themes that were in it that were minute but still there. It was not something that I would probably watch again ever. I would never seek it out or watch it. I do not know if I would like watch this with my daughter one day. If she was like into it, maybe. It was okay. It was okay. There were some funny parts I thought were clever. Not clever. They're just Looney Tunes. They're just wacky. They're loony. And Michael Jordan was not hateful in it at all. I was really worried that was going to be like, ugh, man. But he wasn't that bad. Like Andrew said, he had charisma. He had like something to make you watch him. It wasn't that bad. But I don't know. I don't like how he got point A to point B. Really weird. I don't understand. Like the story's not very complex. Not that it needs to be, but it's just kind of like, okay, cool. I guess we're doing this now. All right. Yeah, it was okay. It was okay.
Andrew, what about you?
This is one of those movies where I had to force myself to like pay attention to every little bit. There are some funny little moments, definitely some pieces, some moments that were nostalgic, and it was cool to see prime Michael Jordan front center on the screen, along with Charles Barkley, along with Muggsy Bogues, and those people. It's very much a little time capsule of society back in the mid to late 90s. But in terms of enjoying myself, again, the Looney Tunes moments were funny, but a lot of it just felt like filler. There wasn't much to it. It wasn't something that really grabbed my attention. I agree with you, Kyle. There's not really a need to watch this again or to even show it to our children because let's be honest, Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley and those types, Larry Bird, they're not gonna. It's not gonna mean anything to them.
Absolutely, I'm gonna.
It's just not. It's not like, yeah, those dudes are all Hall of Famers, and Michael Jordan is arguably the greatest of all time. But this movie was made with those stars at the peak of their careers and notoriety. They're never going to be able to reach that again, and it's never going to reach other audiences or people who didn't live in that era. It doesn't hit. So it was cool to see a little moment of time encapsulated on the screen like that, but like I said, it was short to watch, and I had to pause it and rewind a few times because I found myself pulling up my phone and scrolling on Instagram and then reminding myself, hey, dude, you're watching a movie. Put the phone down.
Really easy to get distracted because it does not really hold your attention.
No.
I agree all the way through with both of you, especially you, Andrew, talking about like kids aren't going to have the same effect with this movie that we did as kids because Michael Jordan was such a top athlete.
Yeah.
People that didn't grow up in that day and age will never know how big Michael Jordan was. You can read about it, you can have people tell you about it, but you had to live that to understand the star power he had. And when you've made your way in the future and we're here now, there's nothing to this movie. I think, Andrew, I told you before we started, I was like, this is the most mid movie I can ever imagine.
Yeah.
I laughed a couple of times, but they weren't like insane laughs. I was just like, that's funny. And the Looney Tunes segments are very short-lived. It's almost like they plow a bunch at you at once, and then they move on to nothing, and they come back a couple little things, and they move to nothing. It's just point A to point B to point C. It's a dull movie. I don't think there's anything to this. And if this movie was anybody else other than Michael Jordan, this would be a huge flop. This would be awful.
Yeah.
And people remembering this fondly, you're remembering the nostalgia of living in that day and age. Because if you watch this now, I was bored out of my mind. There's nothing inherently that bad about it. It's not that bad. We've seen
But there's nothing
worse.
that redeeming out of it other than traveling back and reliving a very happy time period of our lives.
And I will say that is the death of a film because a lot of movies can be bad enough to be entertaining, and that gives them staying power. And, of course, movies being really good, that gives them staying power. But when you're just in the middle and there's no rewatchability other than, like, when our generation dies off, this movie will probably never see the light of day.
It'll go with it.
Yeah, so it's like...
This movie, it wasn't made to last. It was made to capitalize on superstars' notoriety and make a shit ton of money in that era, and it has. And like you said, it'll stick with our generation. But once we go, the movie goes with it. That's it.
That's all, folks.
And I have no desire to watch Space Jam: A New Odyssey with LeBron James. None whatsoever. I've heard it's absolutely horrible. Yeah, just disgusting. And do you all know what the premise of that one is?
We don't need to know.
I'm gonna read it to you real quickly. A rogue artificial intelligence kidnaps the son of famed basketball player LeBron James, who then has to work with the Looney Tunes to win a basketball game.
Cool. Sounds good. Sounds right to me.
Okay, glad we're not watching that. But now we're going to ask the question of all questions. Kyle, does this movie hold up?
No.
Andrew?
Easy no.
I'm triple stamping this one. It does not hold up. As someone who watched the shit out of this movie and still remembers all the quotes, all the plots, everything, I remembered it like it was yesterday. This sucked. This was not a fun watch.
It was a chore.
It wasn't even that bad. It was just boring. I was bored.
Yeah.
Page Master entertained me. It may not have been the best movie, but it entertained me enough to where I could watch it. This, I was like struggling. I was like, how much time is left? I was like checking that constantly. And if I had to give it an IMDb rating, I'm giving it a 4.5, which is just pretty mid. What about you, Andy?
I was going to give like a 4.9. It's either that or a 5.1. I wouldn't give it a 5, but I'm settling at 4.9.
Okay.
Yeah, just not... I'd love to go into the 5s. I don't know. I already said 4.9. I can't take it back.
It's mid. It's just like you can't go past 5.0 on this one. It has to be, that mid range. And for wasting my time, a 4.5. Kyle, what about you?
Yeah, I give it a flat 5.
Okay,
cool. I like the Looney Tunes. That's about it.
Okay. Andrew, what's the actual IMDb score of this?
I want y'all to guess.
Is it a 5? Is it like 5 even?
I'm going to guess it's like a 7 something.
Not that high. It's 6.5.
No, it's not.
It is 6.5 on IMDb. So
it's not that. No.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my God. That breaks my heart right there. But again, that's why a lot of people don't follow ratings. Well, you know what we do around here? We reach into your childhood nostalgia. We reached into your past to see if we can pull out Space Jam, which we did, and we found out, you know what? It doesn't hold up. Don't ever watch it. Absolutely boring. Well, you know what's not going to be boring? Next week's episode, because what are we doing, Andrew?
James and the Giant Peach. Roald Dahl classic.
I could hear all the collective gasp from the millennials across the nation and possibly the world. So that's right. Next week, we're doing James and the Giant Peach. You can join us on Instagram and TikTok to find out what other movies we have planned for the future and recommend us something to do in the future. We're rolling on with animation next week for James and the Giant Peach, so we'll see you all then.